Hi, I'm Ali Galan with Global Food Safety Resource. We're at the 2011 Food Safety Summit, and I'm joined by John Kukoly, who's the Senior Technical Marketing Consultant with the British Retail Consortium. Today we're going to be discussing the updated BRC Global Standard for Packaging and Packaging Materials. Issue 4 was recently released in February of 2011. So John, it seems like having a packaging standard is a very logical extension of the other BRC standards if you want to cover every aspect of the supply chain and product production. But what were some of the key drivers that led to the creation of this standard?
Well, there really was a need, especially in the packaging industry, because for a number of years they've been undergoing HACCP audits, GMP audits, but really from a food perspective, what the BRC wanted to do was really produce a program that focused on the unique aspects of the packaging industry itself. So as the extension goes on from retail private brands looking at their manufacturers down into ingredients, the next logical step, as you said, is into the service and additional component suppliers like chemicals, and specifically like packaging. So there's definitely been a demand for it, and it's an issue that we felt was a natural extension for the BRC program.
Can you give some examples of specific risks that are related to packaging?
One of the biggest ones that we realize, depending on what country, are things like BPA, the additives, bleeding off of plastics, and of course probably one of the biggest issues you run into in the packaging industry is mislabeling. So anyone that's involved in printing of materials that's going to go onto a food product has to be very, very aware of the risks they run and the issues they may run into with mislabeling and misprinting.
So for example, if someone's producing packaging for an allergen-free product, you have to have very strict controls in the packaging environment.
And a lot of packaging industries do them very well. They have very good run rules, very good applications for maintaining that segregation. Yeah. But then again, it's not inherent throughout the industry. So what we're trying to do is bring the level of the packaging industry up, especially the printing side, so that we have a very consistent and very safe.
Okay, great. So the standard itself recognizes 3 levels of risk based on the end use of the product, right? And that seems very intuitive. Obviously, products that touch food or something you put on your skin should have more stringent controls. But can you give some examples of specific differences? Like, is there a standard for risk level 1, risk level 2? What is the difference?
What we've done is we've broken the standard up into sections. So the requirements, as the risk gets higher, the requirements get a little more intense and a little more thorough. So if you're simply making a corrugated box that's going to hold other packaged materials so that there's no direct contact, that's one level of risk. Then again, if you're the same corrugate company, but you're making pizza boxes where there's going to be direct food contact with that, different level of risk. We have to look at sanitation, we have to look at contamination controls, we have to look at the real potential for allergen issues. So absolutely, there are a fair bit of difference between basic level of food safety, so that we're going to bring this package into a food manufacturing plant, but it's not going to directly contact the food, to what are the issues inherent in that package contacting the food and what could possibly go on as far as interactions.
And that's really a trend, right? Like a risk-based approach to food safety. It makes sense.
Yeah, and that's been the strength of the BRC food standard. Much less of a prescriptive standard. We're not going to tell sites exactly what they have to do to meet the requirements of the standard. What we're saying is they have to develop programs that manage certain sectors of their operation based on the risk specific to that operation.
So kind of like HACCP in that sense?
Very much so.
Control points are unique?
Absolutely. The same program. HACCP is essentially just a big risk assessment. Very detailed, very thorough, but it's a big risk assessment. So we're using the same principle as that HACCP review in a lot of different areas.
And this was a collaborative effort to develop the standard as always, right?
It was. Specifically, it was with the Institute of Materials, or basically a packaging association, helped us develop this. So rather than a bunch of food safety people sit in an office and decide, hey, this would be a great standard, we worked with packaging industry, certification bodies, and packaging associations to really make sure we're hitting the right target. We're not imposing a food standard on the packaging industry that may or may not fit, but we're doing something that's really meaningful and add value to those packaging manufacturers.
Okay, so it has a lot of strength.
It does. That's our plan.
And do you think this demand is going to grow, the demand for packaging certification?
Absolutely. I mean, as a food company looks at their risks, they have to go beyond their own boundaries and look at what other impacts, so what impacts their ingredients have, their transportation has, their storage, and of course their packaging. It's an integral part of the product in a lot of cases, or it has a very integrated part of it. So we've seen a lot of interest in North America on the packaging standard, and it's really something that we think is going to grow exponentially in the next few years.
Who provides certification to the standard in North America?
That's something that always changes. Certification bodies have to be accredited by either some company like ANSI or an accreditation body, or they have to be licensed by the BRC. So the best way to find a certification body that's capable of doing it is going on our directory. So if you go onto our website, get into our directory, you can actually choose by country or select by country which certification bodies are actively working on the standard.
Okay, great. That's it.